If you're like most law firm owners, you don't struggle with hitting record. You struggle with everything that comes after. What to talk about next, how to stay consistent, whether any of it's actually working, how it fits into the business, not just your week. That's the one part no one really teaches. That's what we're focused on at the YouTube Accelerator in Chicago this June. Not how to make one good video, but how to actually run a YouTube channel for your law firm. The strategy behind it, the systems that keep it going, the decisions that make it worth your time. If YouTube has felt scattered or stalled, this is the room for you. Come spend a couple of days with us in Chicago. Check out the event details at maxlawevents.com.
This is Maximum Lawyer with your host, Tyson Mutrux.
Welcome back to the Maximum Lawyer podcast. This Max LawCon session is from John Kormanik, and it's all about mastering your energy and not trying to manage your time. If you've ever ended a day thinking, I was busy nonstop, but nothing that mattered really moved, John is about to call you out in the most helpful way. John's core message is simple and it hits hard. Time isn't your problem. It's the excuse. There's no pause button on life, and blaming time puts you in a powerless spot. Instead, he breaks down two kinds of energy that actually drive your results. This is John Kormanik's Max LawCon Talk. Master your energy and forget about managing your time for ultimate productivity and satisfaction.
You are my people. The reason I say that is because when I practiced law, I would go to CLEs, of course, and I would go with my law partners. And my law partners would bail, like not show up the second day or not show up after the second day's lunch, things like that. And they knew that I would stay until the bitter end. I would never, ever leave. So you are my people. You know, I was talking with Tyson yesterday, and he's like, oh, dude, the afternoon, I know it's really hard. I'm kind of sorry. We have these slots. He blamed Becca. And I said, no. You don't understand. It's a gift to be able to be with you all after the break in the afternoon of the second day of this fantastic conference. The only conference I've ever been to where the second speaker of the conference started off talking about failure. What a fantastic thing to do, because we all fail every day. I fail every day. I get back up and I move forward, but I fail. So, practiced law for 25 years, owned and led a successful law firm for 16. Importantly, I didn't leave because I was burnt out or stressed out. I left because I wanted to have a greater impact in the world, and that's what I'm doing now. I coach elite attorneys all over the planet. So let's talk about mastering your energy. Seven out of 10 clients who call me tell me that they have a problem with time. Raise your hand if you think you have a problem with time. Oh my goodness, the lights are bright, but I see a bunch of hands. Stop blaming time, it's not the problem. Time just isn't the problem, time is the excuse. Blaming time is a powerless place to be. Busy all day and nothing meaningful done. Sometimes that's me. Sometimes that's you. A client, I'll call him Ben, called me up and he said, John, I really want to work with you, and my onboarding process is quite long. I am deeply committed to ensuring that when I work with someone, it is the right fit. And he said, I have a problem with time. And I'm like, Ben, time's not your problem. Yeah, I don't believe you, John. Time is my problem. I said, okay. Ben, you have 168 hours in a week. What are you doing with your 168 hours? Well, this, that. I said, oh, okay. Ben and I wound up working together, and he came to understand that time indeed wasn't his problem. His issue was energy. And before your eyes glaze over and You think I'm talking about, the vibration and the universe will give you things. I'm talking about that a little bit, but not a lot. Energy is nothing, in this context, is nothing but your attitudes, perceptions, and beliefs. It is how you view the thing, on the one hand. On the other hand, it is your biology. So there's two types of energy that we're going to talk about here today. The problem with time is that it can't be managed, okay? There's a multi-billion-dollar industry around time management, and I'm in a room full of lawyers who know that words matter. Our words matter. Heck, it matters where we put a semicolon or a comma when we're drafting things. And we have this whole multi-billion-dollar industry about time management, and time can't be managed. That is not a thing. There's no pause button on the clock of life. There's no pause button on your day. Time is agnostic to your goals and your dreams and your desires. It's not that it's against you. It doesn't give a shit. Look, 3 more seconds pass by on my clock. Time doesn't care where I am in my presentation. It just doesn't care. At the end of life, people often talk about, I wish I had more time. You don't get to decide that. That's not a thing. So time isn't the problem. Time can't be managed. Time is exhaustible. So let's talk about energy. There are 2 types of energy that I want to talk about with you today. One is attitudinal, and one is biological. I'm going to pull my phone out because I want to get this right. This is really important. Tilly, his first wife, died at Bergen-Belsen concentration camp. Gabriel, his father, died in the ghetto of Czechoslovakia. Elsa, his mother, and Walter, his brother, were both murdered in Auschwitz. Does anyone know who I'm talking about? No, that's a good guess, though. Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist Viktor Frankl. One member of his family survived, and she had fled to Austria before the Nazis came. So that guy, with that loss, and by the way, he's a concentration camp survivor as well. That guy with that loss, everything can be taken from a man or woman or person, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given circumstance, to choose one's own way. When we talk about attitudinal energy, that is exactly what we're talking about. It's a gift. So, this is a slide that breaks all the rules. It's too text heavy, the text is too small, you can't read it from the back. I get it. If you understand, if you take a nugget with you today, and I hope you take a nugget from my talk with you, it's that there are 2 types of energy. There are catabolic energy and there's anabolic energy. Catabolic energy is when you're under stress. Understand that when you're under stress, there are biological things that are going on in your body. Your prefrontal cortex disengages. Catabolic hormones are released. You are in fight or flight, and your biology hasn't evolved, and internally your biology believes that you are going to die. The brief is due at 5 o'clock. I'm going to die. I have to talk to this client about my rates. I'm going to die. Right? Your biology hasn't evolved. It truly does think that you're going to be eaten by a tiger. That's how you're reacting when you have catabolic energy. Your executive functions go out the window, and you are under stress. Anabolic energy is strategic energy. It's the ability to have the 30,000-foot view, to stand back, to step back, to think logically, to be strategic, to take your time. Those are the two types generally of anabolic and catabolic energy. Just remember, catabolic drains, anabolic builds. That's it. Think of a time when you were under stress and reacted instead of responded. My daughter is going to be, I know this is hard to believe, but my daughter is going to be 32 years old in 2 weeks, actually. She's a fantastic human being. I wish that I was the person that she is at 32. She's wonderful. But I can remember, right? I was frequently in a catabolic space when she was growing up, both because of the stress of the law firm and just because that's how I was raised, right? That's how we did things. But now I'm in a much more anabolic space with her, and our relationship is all that much better. If you're at work or at home, consider where you are on the scale, catabolic or anabolic. This really came home for me when one winter's day, it was in February of 2009, actually. At the time, I was training for an Ironman distance triathlon, 2.4-mile swim, 112-mile bike, 26.2-mile run, all on your own, all within 17 hours. If you finish in 17 hours and 1 second, you did not finish. It doesn't count. I was out, it was dark, it was just, I live in Boise, Idaho, it was just on the cusp of rain and snow. It was absolutely, positively miserable. The conditions were terrible, and I was griping in my head. I was, this is terrible, I'm getting wet, this is no fun. And I got home, and I thought to myself, why would you think that way? You have the opportunity to do this. You're making a choice. You're choosing to do the thing that you're doing, and you're complaining about it. If you're going to complain, stop. If you're not going to stop, then change how you think about it. Think about it more from an anabolic space. This is a gift that I'm able to move my body in the way that I'm able to move my body, that I have the freedom to be able to get up in the morning and do my thing before I go and do the really hard work of representing people who are accused of murder or have been convicted and are on death row. That's the work that I did as a lawyer. So it changed for me in February of 2009, and it can change for you as long as you understand what's going on. So now I'm going to R&D from Daniel Pink. I have a client in the Mid-Atlantic states, and he explained to me that R&D is rip off and duplicate, John. That's all it is. It's rip off and duplicate. So with all credit to Dan Pink, who's a fantastic guy, let's talk about your biological energy. Are you a lark? Are you an owl? Or are you a third bird? Those are Dan's categories. Are you a morning person, or are you an evening person, or are you something in the middle? I am an extreme lark. I am up at 4:30 in the morning without an alarm, and my day begins. And the first 2 hours of the day are mine and mine alone. Nobody gets to intrude except my dog, Olive. She'll stick her nose on my lap as I'm journaling in the morning. So I'm a lark. There are many of you who are owls, right? When I think owl, I think rock and roller. Those folks don't go to bed until well after I do. I go to bed at 9 o'clock. Y'all haven't seen me out here. You saw me running away. If you saw me, Wednesday night at the dinner, I have got to go because it is my bedtime. That's me. Owls are late night people. If you want a quick and handy way to figure out who you are, if the midpoint of your sleep on a day when no alarm is set and you have no obligations in the morning. So I recommend doing it about halfway through a vacation. You all know what a vacation is, right? You take vacations? Halfway through a vacation, just figure out what the midpoint is. The midpoint of your sleep is before 3 a.m., you are a lark. If it's after 5:30 a.m., you are an owl. If it's somewhere in the middle, you're a third bird. John, so what? Well, larks they have a higher executive function in the morning. They can do deep intellectual work in the morning. Owls are worthless in the morning for executive work. They don't do it very well, right? Owls are more executive functioning later in the day. So, look at your calendar. Are you doing the work that you ought to be doing during the time of day that you ought to be doing it? Or are you fighting your biology? If you're fighting your biology, you're going to lose. You're going to lose. Can you change the type of your chronotype? You can. Does it take a lot of work? It does. Can you do it in a week? You cannot, right? So think about when you do your best work. The other gift that Tyson gave me, and I was talking to the guys in the back about this, is, well, it's the afternoon. So my prefrontal cortex is kind of offline. There's not a whole lot of executive functioning going on. I am in a creative space in the afternoons. That's when I do my creative work. It's most of my book, which is called Break the Law, was written in the afternoon. Because in the morning I would get in my own way, and I would stop, and I would question, and I would be self-critical. In the afternoons, I just let it flow. So when you're looking at your calendar and you're structuring your days, think about, are you a lark? Are you an owl? Or are you a third bird? Just think about it. You may as well leverage your biology to be the best you can be instead of fighting against it. So stop trying to manage your time. You can't. There's no pause button on the clock. Look, I'm down to 3 minutes and 44 seconds. There's just no pause button, right? And I believe, and I'm here to share with you, that blaming time for things is disempowering. It takes your autonomy away, and you are powerful people. Each and every one of you does hard things. I mean, you went to law school, you graduated from law school, and you made the decision to be entrepreneurs and lawyers. Maybe it wasn't a purposeful decision, right? Maybe it was thrust on you. You got canned from work and you didn't feel like going out and working for somebody else, or you're like me. And look, I could never work for anybody else. I've been there, done that. I did it with the Attorney General's office. I did it as a partner in a law firm of 10 other partners, and you couldn't decide on what to have for lunch, and it was just infuriating. But you made those decisions, and you represent clients at a really high level. You give a darn about the people that you employ and the communities that you live in. You're not passive folks. So don't use time as a crutch. It's not it. It's your energy. How are you viewing the situation? It's the one thing that Viktor Frankl tells us no one could ever take away from you. So look at it a little bit differently. So, There's catabolic energy, which is fight, flight, or freeze. Don't make important decisions when you're in that space. You have tunnel vision, you see the option in front of you as the only option, and 82.7% of the time. Now that sounds like a real stat, doesn't it? It's not, I just made it up. But most of the time, you will not make the best long-term decision when you're under stress. So catabolic energy, anabolic energy, strategic. Be in that strategic space as much as you possibly can be. And it all depends on the story that you tell yourself. All of it. That catabolic, anabolic, it's just the story in your head. It's nothing more than that. Your biologic energy, your chronotype, lean into it. Think about it. Structure your days around it. Play with it. It's not going to be something that's set in stone, but it is something that you can control. If you have questions, email me. I had a law firm, so of course my coaching business is named after me. Very original, right? JohnRKormanik.com, that's my middle initial. That's what my mother, when I was late for dinner, would say, John Robert! And then there was a whole bunch of not suitable for work stuff that she said. So I've always used my middle initial. Go to my website, look me up. If you have questions, let's have a conversation. I am thrilled to have been here. I am thrilled to have spoken at this time of day, and I am thrilled to be here for the next 17 speakers that are up next to bring us home. Thank you all very much.
Before you go, quick shout out to Becca's List. If you've ever hired a vendor for your law firm and immediately thought, yeah, that wasn't it, this exists for you. Becca's List is a curated list of companies that work with law firm owners. No paid placements, no random recommendations, just real reviews from law firm owners who have already learned the hard way. If you want to see what's working for other firms and help us grow Becca's List to the largest place for law firms to find trusted answers, head to beccaslist.co and leave your first review today.